All right, we're diving into something pretty fascinating today.
Oh, yeah.
Methylene blue and near-infrared light therapy.
Interesting combination.
Right. You might be thinking, what does a dye and light therapy have in common?
Yeah, I'm curious.
But trust me, the connection is incredible.
Uh-huh.
It all comes down to our mitochondria.
Ah, the powerhouses of the cells.
Exactly. And we've got some research here suggesting that when you combine these two therapies, the effects on mitochondrial health are amplified. We're talking potential benefits for energy levels, cognitive function, even pain management.
Wow.
Yeah, so buckle up because we're going deep into how this all works.
You know, it's fascinating how much we're learning about the role of mitochondria in health and disease. They're like the energy factories of our cells, constantly producing the fuel we need to function.
That's right.
But when those factories start to slow down or get damaged, it can really impact our overall health.
For sure. Okay, so let's break this down. Methylene blue, it's been around for ages, mostly known as a dye. But what's interesting is its potential medical applications.
Right, and what's interesting is how methylene blue actually works within the mitochondria. It acts as an electron donor in the electron transport chain, which is a complex process, but essentially it helps those mitochondria produce energy more efficiently.
So it's like giving those little energy factories a boost.
Exactly. And there's some evidence suggesting this boost can have a ripple effect throughout the body. For instance, there's a case study about a woman who was taking tons of medications for various health problems. She was able to significantly reduce her pill intake after starting methylene blue therapy.
Really?
Yeah, it seemed to help her manage pain and reduce her reliance on pharmaceuticals.
That's pretty remarkable. It sounds like methylene blue isn't just masking symptoms. It's potentially addressing some underlying issues.
Yeah, and that's what's so promising about it. There's also research suggesting methylene blue can improve blood flow, reduce swelling, even speed up wound healing.
Wow. And on top of all that, it's a potent antioxidant.
Mm-hmm.
I know that word gets thrown around a lot, but what does it actually mean in this context?
Mm-hmm. Well, think of it this way. Our cells are constantly exposed to damage from things called reactive oxygen species, or ROS.
Okay.
They're like little rust particles that can build up and cause problems over time. Antioxidants like methylene blue help neutralize those ROS, protecting our cells from damage.
So it's like having a built-in defense system against cellular wear and tear.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay, so we've covered methylene blue. Now let's switch gears and talk about near-infrared light therapy.
Okay.
This one always seems a little futuristic to me.
It does have a bit of a sci-fi feel to it, but the science behind it is solid. Essentially, near-infrared light penetrates the skin and tissues, stimulating cellular activity.
And how does this tie back into mitochondria?
Well, one of the key things near-infrared light therapy does is stimulate those mitochondria to produce more energy, just like methylene blue.
So we're talking about two completely different therapies that both seem to have a positive impact on mitochondrial function.
Yes.
That's pretty interesting.
It is, and the research on their combined effects is truly fascinating. Okay.
They seem to work synergistically, meaning they enhance each other's effects. Imagine it like this. Methylene blue is like jump-starting a car battery, and near-infrared light therapy is like giving it a steady charge.
So they're both working towards the same goal, but from different angles.
Precisely.
Now, you mentioned research on their combined effects. What kind of results are we seeing?
One of the most promising areas of research is in metabolic health. There are studies showing that when you combine methylene blue and near-infrared light therapy, they can improve glucose uptake and insulin sensitivity.
So for people struggling with blood sugar control or insulin resistance, this could be a big deal.
It could be. Of course, more research is needed, but the early findings are definitely encouraging.
And what about other areas where these therapies might be beneficial? I know you mentioned wound healing earlier.
Yes. There's evidence suggesting that near-infrared light therapy can accelerate wound healing and reduce inflammation. And there are even studies looking at its potential in treating oral mucositis, a painful side effect of cancer therapy. Wow, so we're talking about a potentially wide range of applications, from metabolic health to wound healing to pain management.
It's really quite remarkable.
Right, so before we dive deeper into the specifics of those research studies, I want to make sure we're all on the same page about what's happening inside the cell. Let's take a closer look at how these therapies are actually impacting those mitochondria.
So we've talked about how both methylene blue and near-infrared light therapy can independently support mitochondrial function. But what's really intriguing is how they seem to work together, amplifying each other's effects.
Right.
There's research suggesting that when you combine these therapies, you can actually enhance the efficiency of the electron transport chain, that intricate process within the mitochondria where energy is produced.
Okay, so it's not just about each therapy doing its own thing. It's about them actually working together to optimize the entire energy production system.
Exactly. It's like they're fine-tuning the engine to get the most power output, and that boost in energy production can have a cascade of positive effects on various cellular processes.
Now, you mentioned that one of the most promising areas of research is in metabolic health. Can you elaborate on that?
Certainly, one of the key areas where the synergy seems to shine is in addressing insulin resistance.
Okay.
When cells become resistant to insulin, it means they're not responding properly to this hormone that helps regulate blood sugar. This can lead to a buildup of glucose in the bloodstream, increasing the risk of type 2 diabetes and other metabolic disorders.
So it's like the cells are becoming deaf to the signals insulin is sending, and that throws the whole system off balance.
That's a good analogy, and what's fascinating is that studies are showing that the combination of methylene blue and near-infrared light therapy can actually improve glucose uptake and enhance insulin sensitivity. It's like they're helping the cells hear those insulin signals loud and clear again.
That's incredible. And what kind of implications does this have for people struggling with metabolic health?
Well, if we can improve insulin sensitivity, we're talking about potentially helping people better manage their blood sugar levels, reduce their risk of developing type 2 diabetes, and even improve their overall metabolic health.
So it's not just about managing symptoms. It's about addressing the root cause of these metabolic issues at the cellular level.
Precisely. And the research is starting to show some promising results in this area. There are studies reporting improvements in various metabolic health markers in individuals using both therapies, things like lower fasting glucose levels, improved insulin sensitivity scores, and even healthier lipid profiles.
It sounds like this could be a game changer for people struggling with metabolic disorders.
It has the potential to be, absolutely.
Now, I know we focused a lot on metabolic health, but I remember you mentioning other areas where these therapies might be beneficial, like wound healing. Can we dive into that a bit?
Of course, near-infrared light therapy in particular has shown promising results in accelerating wound healing and reducing inflammation. It seems to work by stimulating blood flow to the injured area, promoting tissue regeneration, and modulating the inflammatory response.
So it's like giving those tissues the extra resources they need
Yeah.
to repair themselves more efficiently.
Exactly. And there's even research looking at its potential in treating oral mucositis, which is a painful condition that often develops as a side effect of cancer therapy.
That's incredible to be able to offer relief to people going through such challenging treatments. That's really powerful.
It is, and it speaks to the wide range of applications these therapies might have.
Now, all this talk about cells and mitochondria is fascinating, but I'm curious, how does this translate into practical applications? If someone is listening to this and intrigued by these therapies, what are their options?
Well, the good news is that both methylene blue and near-infrared light therapy are becoming increasingly accessible. Methylene blue, for example, is available as a prescription medication and is being used by some healthcare providers for conditions like chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, and even Alzheimer's disease.
So it's moving beyond its traditional use as a dye and into mainstream medicine.
It seems to be yes, and for near-infrared light therapy, there are now a variety of home-use devices available, making this therapy even more accessible to the general public.
That's great to hear, but with so many options out there, it can be overwhelming to know where to start. What advice would you give to someone who's interested in exploring these therapies?
The most important thing is to do your research and consult with a qualified healthcare professional. They can help determine if these therapies are appropriate for you, guide you on proper dosing and usage, and address any concerns you might have.
That makes sense. It's always best to have a personalized approach when it comes to health.
Absolutely, and it's worth noting that while these therapies show great promise, they're not a magic bullet. They're best used as part of a holistic approach to health and wellness that includes a healthy diet, regular exercise, and stress management.
That's a great point. It's about supporting the body's natural healing abilities on multiple levels.
Exactly. And what's really exciting is that this is still an evolving field. There's so much more to learn and discover about the potential of these therapies. Researchers are exploring new applications, optimizing treatment protocols, and even investigating the use of methylene blue in combination with other therapies to further enhance its effects.
So we're just scratching the surface of what's possible.
I believe so, yes.
It's pretty amazing to think that something as simple as a dye and light therapy could have such a profound impact on our health.
It speaks to the interconnectedness of our bodies and the power of supporting our cells' natural functions.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today. We've explored the fascinating world of mitochondria, delved into the science behind methylene blue and near-infrared light therapy, and even touched on their potential applications in various areas of health. I have to say I'm feeling pretty energized by all this information.
As am I.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with a thought to ponder mitochondrial health. If we can improve our mitochondrial health, if we can support those tiny powerhouses that fuel our very existence, what's possible? How might that transform our approach to health and longevity? It's a question worth exploring. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey into the world of methylene blue and near-infrared light therapy. We hope you've gained some valuable insights and are feeling empowered to take charge of your own health journey.